It's the biggest US national security leak since Edward Snowden's. Hundreds of top secret files, many covering the war in Ukraine, released online for the world to see.
But the source of these leaks wasn't a highly trained agent of espionage or the depths of the dark web. Allegedly, it was a 21-year-old on a small gaming server on the social platform Discord, the same platform used to coordinate late-night Call of Duty sessions. It's also not the first time a national security leak has come from a place to talk about video games. The forums for a military game called War Thunder have seen a few of these kind of leaks.
It all raises a silly question with very serious national security consequences. Why have gaming platforms become a go-to channel for leaking top secret files? And what lengths will powerful governments go to stop those leaks?
This is the rare story that crosses over between the worlds of gaming and national security. So to break it all down, I'm Scripps News' gaming correspondent, Matt Pict.
And I'm visual investigations correspondent, Jake Godin.
So before we explain why these leaks happened, it's helpful to understand how this information went from a private military server to the more or less public parts of the internet. So Where did this all begin?
So that's where we're going to start, is the more public parts of the internet, like Telegram or 4chan, which is the two of the places that people first kind of saw these classified documents being leaked. They were being used for an argument on 4chan, not surprising, and on Telegram they were being used to spread disinformation. They were mixing up the numbers on Russian and Ukrainian casualties. Bellingcat received a tip on where there was a Discord server sharing these leaked documents. One of them was a Minecraft server.
Right, and Discord is a series of small servers that kind of come in all different sizes and shapes. It's a little bit more private, a little bit harder to search than the public internet.
Before that, they were also shared on a Discord server dedicated to a Filipino YouTube celebrity, Wow Mao. And on that Wow Mao server, somebody named Luca shared them.
Right, so Luca was spreading these documents out into the public from the original Discord server where they were leaked. But Luca wasn't the one who leaked them initially, right?
Right, so he knew the original source. In order to figure out who the original leaker was, we went to Luca's Steam page.
So Steam is a major platform for PC gaming, which has a whole storefront full of PC games, and also a few social networking features, including a list of friends of the people you played games with previously.
Eric Toller with Bellingcat was able to speak with another member of this original server, a guy named Vaki. Vaki and Luca both talked about how they played games with the original leaker. So in order to figure out who the original leaker was, it was best to cross-reference Luca's Steam friends and Vaki's Steam friends, because any Steam friends they had that were in common could potentially be the leaker. One person stood out. They went by a couple names. One was the Excalibur Effect, one was Silhouette. He had changed it recently.
Okay.
So his Steam page had a few things going. So first, there was a screenshot of Armor 3, which was the game that they both said that they played with him. In that screenshot, you can see a tiny name in the corner for his player profile, and it was Jay Teixeira. There's also the Steam Profiles ID, which was this Jack DJD text. If you Google that, you find a Flickr page, a collection of photos. And this is kind of where we move from the gaming world to more conventional social media.
And there were a few photos, one of which turned out to be his mother.
Right. Following that woman from the Flickr page to her businesses page, which was a flower shop. Through that flower company, you could find her Venmo. Through that Venmo, you could find that she was friends with a Jack Teixeira. That Jack Teixeira had some friends as well, including somebody who would turn out to be his sister. Following that sister's online footprint, you can find her Facebook page.
Okay.
And on her Facebook page, you can find that she specifically references Jack for a birthday. He turned 21, and she shared some images of him. Importantly, one with him in a military uniform in what looked like the house kitchen, and then one in another military uniform.
And this is where Jack Teixeira stops becoming a random gamer on some Discord server and starts becoming someone with credible access to military documents.
Exactly. The fact that he was in the military kind of lend more evidence towards maybe this guy is the actual guy who did the leaks. And if you look up his status report, which is public knowledge, if you have his birthday, which we do, you can figure out that he is active duty and he was part of the Air National Guard. And eventually you could trace down that he was in the 102nd Air Intelligence Wing, And from there, you figure out, okay, this is looking like the person who leaked these documents.
And this is the part where the government helicopters show up and Jack gets led away in handcuffs. He's now behind bars and facing some very serious charges. What would motivate someone to risk breaking the law like this?
So in order to figure that out, we spoke with Eric Toller, who works with our partners at Bellingcat.
This was meant just to kind of flout and, flout for clout, right? Show off to his buddies about what he had.
He was one of the first people to actually speak to members of this Discord server where the leak originally happened. He was also one of the ones to help identify who Jack was.
I mean, it's kind of a natural progression. Like if you're into this stuff, like abstract, like you're into like guns and the idea of kit and all that stuff, then you play games where you use this kit and you play with these guns and these modifications of it. And that may or may not translate to the real life ownership of it.
While some might try to paint this as some sort of whistleblower situation similar to Edward Snowden or Chelsea Manning, it really seems like Jack was sharing these because he was trying to impress people.
The equivalent of this is like, you see your friend at the bar with a different girl who's not his wife or his girlfriend, right? And then like you have this like burning feeling inside of you. You want to tell someone as fast as you can. It's that, but it's, it's top secret documents.
In order to understand a bit more about the significance of these leaks, it's helpful to look back at the last time gamers leaked classified information on the internet. This happened on the forums for a video game called War Thunder. War Thunder is a multiplayer vehicle combat game with a heavy focus on accurate simulations of real-life war machines. If you want to see how a USA T-32 would fare against a Soviet KV-220, this is the game for you. The game's online community is full of debates about how these real-life war machines should translate into the game. And on at least 5 separate occasions, gamers have tried to back up their arguments by leaking real classified blueprints.
Impressive and not surprising.
Yeah, this has happened enough that the game developers, Gaijin Entertainment, now have a policy in place. They're not changing the game due to any inflow from classified documents, and if it shows up on their forums again, they're going to scrub it. When the Discord leaks sort of initially went live, the game's social media accounts actually sort of celebrated a little bit that at least this time their community wasn't the problem. In a statement to Scripps News, Gaijin Entertainment's founder said, quote, "It's only natural that the realistic approach used in War Thunder makes the game interesting for those who actually operate real tanks or jets. Thankfully, the absolute majority of military personnel playing War Thunder do not send us any documents and prefer to just enjoy the game with others."
We should stress that these leaks were not the same. They weren't exactly equivalent.
Right, some blueprints from some old war machines are a lot different than intelligence reports from an ongoing war.
But they're similar enough that it kind of illustrates how the internet's landscape and how it's changing is creating room for these leaks to happen, though.
The idea of a totally public, searchable feed of social interactions on the internet is new, and when it comes to the history of the internet, kind of a blip.
Ryan Broderick is the author of the Garbage Day newsletter, which covers internet culture. He notes that public shared social platforms, like Twitter and Facebook, are increasingly losing ground as communication hubs.
What's really weird is that we still have these platforms that are kind of pretending as if they are the central square of the internet, when most people, I would say under 25, they've moved, if not to Discord, to some similar kind of DM group or back channel communication.
Platforms like Discord have allowed users to kind of escape the large, wide open social media sites that we have now and form their own smaller, kind of siloed communities.
Right, like we did back in the days of forums.
Right.
Some of them, like the War Thunder forums, are more heavily moderated and policed. Others can be a little bit more freewheeling and perhaps even toxic in nature. It's this sort of community that can motivate leakers to publish documents online. The reward of social clout within a tight-knit community can seem to outweigh the risk of getting caught. Interviews with the other members of the Discord server where the leaks happened paint Teixeira as a well-respected figure within that niche community.
He was literally bragging about it, just to brag about it. He wasn't like a freedom fighter or a whistleblower. He was just like some guy. And I think that as long as you have these deep communities of young men doing these sorts of things, that's going to happen.
There's another part of how social media works that could have pushed Teixeira towards sharing these documents. It's something Bard College's Emma Bryant calls the attention economy.
He was trying to be a micro-influencer, and in order to get the attention that he wanted from his little community, they were not engaging enough with his early posts. The things we engage with most on social media are visual memes. And Jack Teixeira knew this. He started photographing documents in order that they finally take him seriously and stop paying attention to this stuff that he thought was so important. He was trying to, influence them. The app encourages this kind of behavior, this kind of sharing, this kind of building of a community around engaging and attention seeking.
US military branches have turned to platforms like Discord and Twitch for recruitment. But the Discord leaks highlight a real lack of control over these spaces and communities, which has already had serious consequences.
I think it's really important that the military essentially is encouraging service personnel to start using, Discord for creating their gaming communities, knowing surely that it is filled with extremist communities as well, and at the same time not really thinking through the fact that actually this is an environment that encourages people to share.
These leaks aren't just an important breach of national security, they also represent a massive shift in our internet culture.
Right, and as that shift continues to happen and the digital landscape continues to change, it's up to the institutions to keep pace. Otherwise, these Discord leaks will just be the start.